What's good, everybody? This is Emerald Knight Leon back with another deck analysis. I know it's been a few weeks. I've just been really excited for Beelzemon Cup and just thought, my next video will be a little bit about that. As of right now, I hope everybody's Beelzemon Cups have been going well. Hopefully, someone has gotten those coveted purple Beelzemon cards. But I recently went to a Beelzemon Cup just the other day, and I was able to get second place. And I was actually running a Beelzemon deck that I kind of modified really to my specifications. So going into this, I want to just get right into this. All right. So starting off for our Digi Eggs, we're running one copy of the starter deck Yamon. If this Digimon has Wizard or Demon Lord in its traits, trash the top two cards of your deck. It's a when attacking once per turn effect. It is a nice effect, honestly. Even after this tournament, I have already made some extra modifications to it, trying to change the ratios a bit, seeing what I want, what I like, and what I didn't. And even though I do have a rough idea of what I want it to be for my next Beelzemon Cup, I kind of need cards to do that. So I'll go into that in just a bit. But the other egg we are running is the uh, starter deck Pagumon. This is an on deletion trash 2. When paired under Impmon over here, it is very useful, especially if Impmon dies, which he 99% of the time is going to. You're going to be able to trash 5 cards automatically. If you're going to hit your other Impmon, it's an extra 3. For our other Digimon, we are running one copy of Gazimon as our memory choker, preventing our opponent from using Mist Memory Boost or Purple Memory Boost or just any memory boosts or effects that will let them gain memory, except for their tamers. And then we're running one copy of Psychmon, mainly because it can come up at times, and that it can come up. And honestly, it doesn't impede our deck because most of our ability to hard play stuff, uh, we don't need to reduce any play costs because we're not doing it. Usually it's going to be for free off of our EX2 Beelzemon. We are also running 4 copies of EX2's Impmon. This is just a great searcher, and it also, when trashed by an effect that's not its own, which does include inheriteds like Pagumon, sadly, it does let you trash 3 more though, which is always good. And then finally, we are running 2 copies of the starter deck 14 Impmon. They only have 2 copies of it in the deck, so if you wanted to run a full playset, you're going to need 2. They do this. They did it with the Beelzemon and with the Beelstarmon. It is a little annoying, but I understand they're trying to make money. Don't have to like it really. Uh, Speaking of this Beelzemon can essentially function the same way as starter decks Vmon and Guilmon, where it can warp into Beelzemon. To do this, though, you do need 20 or more cards in your trash. So it is more of a late game effect that you'd use to maybe go for game. Uh, in one match in particular, what I did was I had it and I had the memory tamer Ayamako, where I swung with Impmon, warped into Beelzemon, used Ayamako to warp again into Blast Mode, dealing 3 checks while still getting trashing effects off. And it is a versatile card. If you're able to get it off, it works really well. In Before that, it does also have an inherited where your turn once per turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, you delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. This is a mandatory effect. It can come in handy, especially if you're dealing with, Digimon like Gazimon or any other Digimon that can impede your memory gain or your or play costs or Digivolution costs. It can be very helpful at times. Moving in for our level 4s, we are running 10 level 4s. We are running 4 copies of the new Witchmon. This is a very useful card that you want to run in this deck. You already get 4 in your starter deck, so you're golden. When Digivolving, trash top 3 cards of your deck, and it's inherited while this Digimon has Wizard or Demon Lord in its traits, it gets plus 2000 DP. Already we're, set. We got the plus 2,000 from her, plus an extra 3,000 from Impmon from EX2. That's 5k already. If we are in blast mode, that guy is already at 20k. Let that sink in for a moment. We are also running 4 copies of the promo Wizardmon. Now, yes, it is an expensive card. Good news, it's in the starter deck. You get a full play set of it. Run it. You want to run it. It does actually become even more useful in later sets, which I will cover. But when it is trashed from your deck, you gain a memory. And its inherited is when attacking, you may reveal 1 purple card from your hand and place it on top of your deck. So what you would use that for is you have Death Slinger in hand or another Beelzemon, EX2 Beelzemon in hand, and you swing with your Beelzemon. You place one of those on top of your deck. You activate Beelzemon's when attacking, trash top 2, and automatically then you guarantee either an extra Impmon, or if it's blast mode, a level 4 being deleted, or if it's just Death Slinger, an extra memory, or you can just choose another Wizardmon that's in your hand and gain another memory off of that way. Or potentially Impmon from EX2 to get more trashing. There are a lot of cards in this deck that inheritable is very useful with setting up a combo. Finally, we are running 2 copies of Soulmon. The reason I run Soulmon in this is mainly because since we only have 2 copies of this Impmon, I kind of wanted to fill in the gap, and Soulmon does give me something else. It's a cheap 4 cost, so if I don't have any rookies and I'm not in a mirror match where my opponent is running Death Slinger and I have to be constantly afraid of it, I could just hard play him, and if I'm at 3 and my opponent doesn't have a memory setter, I'm choking him at 1. Its inherited is also very nice. Once per turn, your turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, gain 1 memory. It's the same effect that Skull Sadamon has, which let's talk about Skull Sadamon. Skull Sadamon is a BT8. It's a good card for this deck. Would I run him now? I don't think so, actually. While I do like him, his main issue is his typing. He is undead. And because of that, he is unable to be searched by our new Ayamako, which can only search Evil, Wizard, or Demon Lord. So, going into what I would change, I would basically swap him out with 3 copies of the new Beelzemon, which I'll talk about in just a bit. But he does let us search for our Demon Lords, and he does trash, and he does have his inheritable, which does let us gain memory, which is nice at times. If you Digivolve into the new starter deck Beelzemon, which trashes 4, that's already a memory you're going to gain, plus any memory you gain from Beelzemon's own effect. Back on track with Beelzemon, though, we are running 4 copies of BT10s. This is a really good card now. Originally, not really good. Now, really good. When attacking, you may trash up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. Already, really nice. And then his on-deletion effect is even better, where if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you may play 1 Beelzemon from your trash without paying its cost. So, say you swing, and unfortunately, while you did get the trash 3, he dies. Odds are he's not going to die, though, especially if you have him under Witchmon, because that is a plus 2,000 to him, so he'd be at 9, so only things that are level 6 or higher will kill him at that point. But if he were to die and you do have Beelzemons in trash that aren't blast mode, you are able to play them now for free. Do they have any on-play effects? No, unfortunately not. Well, technically one does, and I will talk about why I teched him in. And that is BT10's Beelzemon. Now, why did I tech this card in? The original idea for this deck, if we weren't able to use the starter deck for some reason, was I'd run 3 of him so that if Beelzemon dies, I can play Beelzemon and then go into blast mode. And the thing with blast mode is it is a 6 cost, so that's going to pass over turn. But with the amount of cards in my trash, I can recoup some of that memory, potentially bringing my opponent back into about 3 memory at the very least, if I'm at 0 when I go into blast mode. And that inheritable is very nice. For our other Beelzemons, now this is a bit of a funny little mistake. So we do have a new alt art for this. Digimon Card Dev does not have it available right now for some reason. It is a nice alt art. I, for some reason, did not read the text, and I thought it was EX2. So I decided, oh yeah, no, I'll put it in, you know. And yeah, no, I was only running 3 EX2 Beelzemons, but this card actually came in clutch on one of my matches. It actually got me a game win because I was able to go into him mid-game, and my opponent didn't have an out for it. I was able to just constantly board check them by going into Beelzemon, deleting level 4, and then just Death Slingering them until I had a Blast Mode in Trash, and then just warped into Blast Mode to keep board checking them. What this card is while you have 10 or more cards in your trash, your Impmon can Digivolve into it for memory cost of 4, ignoring its requirements. So essentially, it has a reverse effect of this Impmon, where this Impmon requires you to have 20 to go into any Beelzemon for 3. This one only requires you to have 10, but it is a 4 cost. So there is that. Now, AX2 Beelzemon is your bread and butter for this deck. You want to have at minimum 3. In my opinion, you don't want anything less than that. I hate saying that you have to, but to make this deck work, its effect is too good to pass up. When it is trashed from your deck, you may play one Impmon from your trash without paying its cost. We're running a lot of Impmons, so we can afford to do that. We are wanting to run our trashing Impmon, trashing top 3 cards of our deck. We want to maybe search with our EX2 Impmon, or maybe we want to set up for going into warping with our new starter deck 14 Impmon. The choices are there. And it also does have a when Digivolving and when attacking effect. So when Digivolving, you may trash the top 2 cards of your deck, then delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For every 10 cards in your trash, add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon you can choose with this effect. So by the point you maybe get into him, you at least have 10 cards in trash. That lets you get at least a level 4. If you're at 20, that's a level 5. 36. God forbid if you're at 40, then you might be in trouble for decking out. Who knows? But the thing is this is a when Digivolving, and then that same turn you can use this effect again because it's when attacking. So it doesn't have a time limit either. So if you wanted to text something in, like, I don't know, what is that option card? Let's double check. That option card, here it is. Demonic Disaster. You may delete one of your Digimon to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon. Is a card I actually have used before in the Beelzemon deck back when EX2 first came out. It actually can come in clutch. You unsuspend it by killing off one of your things. You get 3 more in trash, and then you can swing, go into blast mode, get a bunch of security dealt with from your opponent, and you're living happy. You're living on the edge, but you're living happy. So he is our bread and butter. Now, talking about our new Beelzemon here. When Digivolving, trash 4 cards from the top of your deck. All turns, once per turn, when a card is trashed from your deck, for every 10 cards in your trash, gain 1 memory. Now, this is another card that you kind of want to get 2 decks for, because, personally speaking, I feel like you need to run 3. If you're running 4 EX2 Beelzemons, you should be running maybe 3 of these. And that's just because that regaining of memory that can occur on both turns can really make it harder for your opponent, because they cannot afford to kill off any of your things that can trash cards. They have to first target this Beelzemon. They cannot attack your Impmon. They cannot attack any of your Digimon that has a Pagumon under it. Because if they do, they're going to be in for a little bit of a hurt, because you're just going to regain a ton of memory off of his effect. And then also, his your turn once per turn effect is when a card is trashed from your deck, this Digimon gains security attack +1, which is really nice. It's a mini version of Blast Mode from EX2, where, let's talk about Blast Mode. One of his effects is for every 10 cards in your trash, this Digimon gains security attack +1. By the time you have 30 cards in trash, that's 4 checks at a minimum of, at base 15, max 20. DP, 20k DP, which is already great. When he's trashed from your deck, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. Fortunately, there isn't a way to upgrade that to like a level 5 or level 6, but who needs that when you have a when Digivolving delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest level, which is great. For options though, now this is definitely something I'm going to say I'm going to change. While yes, I am running 4 Death Slingers, and that's gonna stay the same. 4 Death Slingers is great. I'm not gonna say you need to run it. You could fudge around with the ratios a bit. I feel at minimum 3 is good, but I like the 4 because trashing it gets me memory. Activating it can board check my opponent if they only have one thing out and they have a bricky hand. It's a very nice card to have. And it's also a 4 cost. So if your opponent doesn't have a memory setter and you're at 3, you can choke them. Back for Revenge. I love this card. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of ways I can use it. I love it for its potential. One of your Digimon gains on deletion, play this card without paying its memory cost. Any on-play effects on the Digimon played with this effect don't activate for the turn. It's a great thing. So the idea behind it is, I'm going to use it on one of my Beelzemons, and this way it can just come back even though it died in security. The problem is the only thing that's going to kill it at that point is option cards, because if you have EX2 Impmon and then Witchmon, that's 5k. That's going to put every version of Beelzemon outside of Starter Deck 14 at 16, and Starter Deck 14 is going to be at 17. That's the only feasible way they're going to die to a Digimon in security at that point is if your opponent is running a card like Starter Deck TK to give plus 2,000 to their security Digimon. That's the only real way. So, while I love the card for its potential uses, it does not come up enough in my testing. Now, for our tamers, though, we are running a 3-3 split of both Ai and Makos. I want to see my memory setter, because starting at that 3 is very nice, and also just being able to warp one of my Beelzemons into blast mode while getting their trash effects off, and then potentially getting an extra check is very nice. Is really nice. Especially if it's Starter Deck 14 going into blast mode, you get a security attack +1, plus whatever security checks that blast mode gets, which can be pretty devastating. It also lets us trash cards when we attack with the Digimon. Now, the new Ayamako, I mentioned it searches for Evil Wizard or Demon Lord. Its your turn effect is also very nice. It essentially does what Wizardmon's Inherited does, with a little extra surprise to it. When one of your Digimon digivolves into a purple Digimon, such as, say, EX2 Beelzemon, you may suspend this tamer and place 1 card from your hand on top of your deck and gain 1 memory. So how that is going to play out is you digivolve into EX2 Beelzemon. You draw for your Digivolution. You suspend Ayamako. You activate its effect. You then place the card on top of your deck. You then trigger Beelzemon's when Digivolving effect to trash cards. And then it just works like that. And then you gain memory off of that too, which is great. So that is this deck. Now, in my matches, definitely the one match I lost, what I actually got obliterated because of a bad hand. But honestly speaking, this is a very solid deck, in my opinion. Uh, the cons to this deck is it's a very high risk, high reward deck. You want to gamble with your winning. This is the deck for you. You have a 50-50 shot of decking out because you trashed too much. Uh, if you're not able to get that momentum and you just keep trashing, it's going to cause you to deck out, which is a problem. But it does have a high reward because if you're able to get into your Beelzemons, if you're able to get into your blast modes and get those consistent security checks, it's going to be great. For cards that you can tech in, unfortunately, as of right now, not a lot. I did see some interesting things though. Going off of what we already know, BT6 Impmon is a nice card. It does let us trash a card from our hand to return a Digimon with 7 Great Demon Lords or 3 Musketeers from our trash to our hand. It is nice. With the new Impmon, though, it kind of is obsolete. But if you did want to use it, it is nice. Its downside to it, though, is it does not have an inheritable. If I were to replace Solmon with another level 4, Loemon and Kaiser Leomon are great. Definitely in my original run for the deck, if you saw that video way back when, I ran 2 of them because sometimes you just want to go into hybrid for game if you needed to. If you're not running Wizardmon for whatever reason, Davidramon is a nice alternative. It has a when attacking, you may trash the top 2 cards of your deck, which is great. It also has retaliation, so if you need to just take out an opponent's like big beater, this is a good alternate card for that. Now, the card I'm replacing Skull Satemon is the new Beelzemon. Beelzemon has a when Digivolving, trash top 3 cards of your deck, and then when Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon gains on deletion. If you have 10 or more cards in trash, you may play 1 Beelzemon from your trash without paying its play cost. It's the same thing as BT10s, but it's not static, which is why you only run 3 instead of 4, because you want a static one. You want something that is more consistent. It does, however, have an inheritable that gives you another plus 2,000. So if you're running that and you have like the full EX2 Impmon, Witchmon, Baalmon, Beelzemon, that's plus 7,000 right there. And that brings blast mode to about 22,000. Wow. Now I did actually see someone teching Anubis, and the reason the reason is actually pretty good. What they did is they're banking on Bile dying, so they can bring Beelzemon back in order to give it rush with Anubis's effect. It also has you may play 1 level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying its cost, so you can just play the on deletion Impmon if you wanted. It is a nice card. Because it's also a Demon Lord, though, Creepymon I have seen some people run. My issue with this is if you're in a mirror match, this is not a good card. Especially if you're in a mirror match, because you want to get your trash going faster than your opponent. If your opponent's trash is going and it's aided by Creepymon, that's not good. That is not good. It does have trash top 2 cards of your deck for each of your opponent's Digimon. If you trash 4 or more with its effect, you can play level 5 or lower purple Digimon. This is nice. It's just, if you are running this, I personally would recommend maybe just keeping it at a 1 of. Finally, we do have the new Blast Mode. It is a nice card. My thoughts on it is I might actually run a 1-1 split between this Blast Mode and the EX2 Blast Mode, because this Blast Mode is nice. When it is trash from your deck, delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon, and then for every 10 cards in trash, add 1 to the maximum. It's just a Death Slinger, essentially. Or an EX2 Beelzemon. And then when Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon. If you have 20 or more cards in your trash, gain 3 memory. Which is nice. The idea I can see behind it is you use the new starter deck Impmon, warp into Beelzemon, go into this, recoup the 3 memory, and potentially choke your opponent, essentially. For options. Now, these are the two options I actually plan on teching into my deck after modifying it, and that is one copy of Mist Memory Boost, just to have a bit of a gain to memory trashing, trashing and drawing, and then two copies of the Rivals Barrage, which, unfortunately, if you want a full playset, again, you need to get two copies of the deck. What Rivals Barrage does is, when it's trashed from your deck, you can place it into your battle area. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play level for its main effect, and then delay. Delay effect is return one purple Digimon or purple Tamer card from your trash to your hand. So what you're going to use that for is primarily just grabbing your Beelzemon back if you don't have it in your hand, just so you can go into it. Now, cards that I would suggest you keep an eye out for is, while the deck is nice, it is going to get nicer. As of next set, we are getting more Beelzemon stuff. Specifically, we are getting the X Antibody line. And this does give me hope that we'll get X Antibody versions of, say, Lucemon or Lilithmon, or any of the other Demon Lords like Leviamon. We are getting Belphemon, which is nice later, but can we get X Antibodies of all of them? I hope. But this does give me hope for that. So we are getting a X Antibody Impmon, Wizardmon, Bowelmon, Beelzemon, and then a new option card called Seventh Foals Cluster. And while I could talk about these now, I will save this for a later, video. If you want to look this up, just go to Digimon Card Dev. The cards are nice. My only hesitation with them is I feel like while Impmon and Bowelmon are good, I don't know if I would use the Wizardmon, because Witchmon is just really nice. That's static when Digivolving Trash 3 is nice, and there were points where I swing with my on deletion Impmon, somehow it survives. I need to pass turn somehow. Oh, let's just Digivolve into Witchmon and just get that Trash 3 regardless. The one benefit to this, though, is when Digivolving Trash Top 2, it gains blocker until the end of your turn, which is nice if you aren't running blockers. But, yeah. And that is it for this video. I hope everyone's Beelzemon Cups are going well. I wish everybody luck on getting that coveted purple Beelzemon. Don't break your bank if you're trying to max rarity this deck, because as of right now, the EX2 alt art for Beelzemon is about $75, so please don't break your bank. If you really need them, it's not a rare card. It's an SR. Should be easy to maybe get in a pack. If you really need to get it off TCG Player, try to find maybe a good deal. Because unfortunately, last I checked, it was about $17 also. But again, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like, comment. Tell me what you think about Beelzemon. Who's your favorite Demon Lord? Personally, Beelzemon is great. My only complaint is for the Demon Lord of Gluttony, whose main aesthetic is purple. Why is his crest yellow, of all things? You would think he would have, the purple color, but that's reserved for greed, which also fits him. Beelzemon is a Digimon of many hats and many sins. Gluttony and greed are just two of the many. But again, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.